Hi guys, it's Michelle here, and I want to talk to you about 6 ways of suffering from compassion fatigue. I know that sounds like something wonderful that you would want to do, but it's symptoms of compassion fatigue. And so I wanted to go over those with you. And I chose to be outside because it's a beautiful morning. And if you're not here, I hope you're doing something fun and outside. Um, so in 1992, Dr. Charles Figley, who's the director of the Tulane Traumatology Unit in Tulane University in New Orleans, had named what we call compassion fatigue. And he said it was a disorder that affects those who do their work well. And he characterized it with deep emotional and physical exhaustion and symptoms resembling PTSD. And then I thought, well, that's really interesting. What does Webster Dictionary have to say about it? And they call it the physical and mental exhaustion and emotional withdrawal experienced by those who take care of sick people and animals for an extended period of time. So, being like PTSD, it's secondary in that the things that are happening are not usually happening directly to you. Hey, Debbie. They're not happening directly to you. They're happening to somebody, a dog or cat or animal that you're caring for. So it's not your trauma exactly, but that doesn't really matter because we still internalize it that way. And helping shouldn't hurt. I mean it. Don't argue with me. Helping shouldn't hurt. So signs of compassion fatigue can include isolating yourself. Are you talking about what's going on? Are you just getting home and saying, no, I don't want to talk about it? Sometimes that's normal. But if you're doing it all the time and never talking about the things that you're experiencing, that's not good. Okay, so the next thing is chronically tired, chronically worn out. It's exhaustion. You know, if you're lying in bed thinking, God, I can't get up and do this again, that's starting to sound like compassion fatigue. Drinking and substance abuse, that can come under there too. These things aren't all compassion fatigue, obviously, when they're separate. But when you start looking at each component and saying, yeah, okay, I've got 2 or 3 of these things, then you might want to look at compassion fatigue as being a cause. Depression and chronic sadness, that can be huge, and sometimes you don't even know where to really put your finger on what's bothering you. You know, you just don't have the words, but it's all becoming too much. And I just want to take a side here and say, if you're suffering from depression, seek help from a registered licensed therapist. I am a life coach, not a therapist. And another symptom is anger or sudden outbursts of anger. And that was my MO. I was angry all the time when I worked at the shelter. At first I thought it was just glorious, running around looking at the animals, who came in, who do I need to adopt. And over the years I stopped doing that. I had to see who would come in so that I could answer people's questions when they called, but that joy was gone. Another thing is difficulty sleeping. And if you have sleep issues along with a couple of these other things, then you could definitely be suffering from compassion fatigue. So those are the first 6 biggies. And then there's some little ones that can be kind of insidious, like feeling cynical about everything that's happening around you. Wanting to call in sick, not returning phone calls, actually having allergies can sometimes be a symptom. Excessive blaming, bottled up emotions. Some of it is complaints from others, and some of it, we can just say there are issues within the organization itself that can create high absenteeism. Constant changes in co-workers' relationships. You get along and then you don't get along. There's inability for the teams to work well together, and outbreaks of aggressive behavior among staff. So those are things that you want to be aware of, and create a self-care plan for getting into the right frame of mind for the work that you're doing. And we're really going to be going into that self-care plan. And at the end of when we're done here, I'm going to drop a link in the bottom of the notes that is going to take you to my Compassion Fatigue Toolkit. It's called Combat Compassion Fatigue. And it has a quiz on it that I think you will want to take. It is for compassion fatigue, testing compassion satisfaction and compassion fatigue. And it'll give you a really good idea about where you are at risk, or if you are not at risk at all right now. So that is going to be, I think that's going to be the first thing in your toolkit, is my toolkit. And then we'll be talking about mindfulness and journaling and spending time in nature and eating well. And hi, Stephanie. Woohoo! Good to see you. And talking to people that you trust. You need somebody that you feel safe talking to. And setting boundaries. It's a big deal. And I'm going to go into boundaries in depth next week. But setting boundaries and being aware of what they are and how you can express it to somebody else, like telling people you can't do more right now, or practice saying it, whatever it is that you feel you can't do more of, practice saying it. So an example might be, I'm sorry, I can't foster another dog until these 3 others have been adopted. Stephanie, I know you can't really do that. Or, I'm sorry, but I don't want to hear your animal cruelty story right now, unless it's something I can do something about. A lot of people share these horrible cruelty stories that are happening around the world, and sometimes I can't look at the pictures anymore. I'm frustrated because I can't help. They're too far from me. So we'll talk about learning to set boundaries and how to tell people what your boundaries are. It's all part of that self-care. So when I'm done, which is about now, I'm going to drop that post in, that link to the toolkit. And I hope you love it. Let me know. And I will talk to you next week. Thank you, guys. See you later. Bye.